Good morning, colleagues, members of the public watching this Grants Committee meeting Thursday, the 28th of March 2024. I'm Judge Hales, Chair of the committee, and it's a fairly simple process. Just follow the agenda, which you can see online. And with that, I'm going to go to number one for apologies of absence. Lawrence, have we got anybody?
Thank you, Chair. No apologies today. Full house.
Thank you very much. And number two, which is declarations of interest, which concern my councillor colleagues. Councillor Ellington.
I need to declare for Swaves's application for the community chest, and I will leave the room.
Okay, have you taken advice on that, whether you need to or not? Or?
I think I will be careful.
Best served. Okay, yeah. Fair enough. Thank you very much. Any other colleagues got any applications? Okay, so sorry, I do apologise. I just noticed, how can I only just notice, Councillor Williams, the lead member for finance, which is called something else now, but the man with the chequebook is in the room. He's not part of this committee per se, but he's here to make sure we don't spend too much. Right. Any other colleagues for declarations? Yeah. No? Okay, thank you. Right. Number three, minutes of the previous meeting. As usual, we'll just go through the page by page if you'd like to sing out. If you have any issues, thank you very much. Page 1 and page 2. Nope. Can I take that as a nod to sign them off, please? Thank you very much. And number 4 is public questions. Do we have any public questions? Public questions. It's such a shame because we always look forward to those. That's really good. Okay, thank you very much. And right. Now, we had a date issue to start with. For those members of the public watching, we had a date issue, which today was the 27th, and we blamed the officers for doing that wrong. It's actually the 28th. But on the bit of paper it said the 27th. And so we're now going to go for agenda item number 4, public questions, to agenda item number 6, which is the community chest grant. So we'll miss out number 5 today, but Emma and Jane are our 2 officers who are going to present this, and so I'm going to hand over to you 2. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Chair. So we've had 10 applications this month, which will be the last ones to come out of this year's budgets. And as you can see from the table at the bottom of page 6, there is sufficient funds left in the budget if all were to be approved today. So on to page 9, we have the George Long Charity for Swavesey Memorial Hall. So the Memorial Hall is used for a variety of events and meetings. It has capacity for up to 100 people, plus an additional 20 people in the meeting room. This was built in 2002. The hall is owned and managed by the George Long Charity, which was formed in 2008. And they have said in their application that they would like new curtains and tracks because these are now 22 years old, beyond repair, and do not meet the current fire retardance guidelines. Total costs for 3 pairs of curtains and tracks, including the fitting, are £876, all of which is being requested from the community chest. They're going to use a local seamstress, so obviously they won't incur any extra transportation costs. The parish council have already contributed to the kitchen renovation project last year, and also Section 106 monies were provided towards a new car park, that's bollards, and another disabled parking bay. And we have support from Councillor Sue Ellington. Thank you.
Thank you. So Councillor Ellington has left the room because she feels she has a conflict of interest in this one. So that's fine. Your colleagues will see Sue's support for this at the end of the application. She totally supports it. I think this is probably a very good example of what we do with the Grants Committee. So over to the floor. Anyone got any comments? Councillor Hanley?
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree with Councillor Ellington's comments. As an occasional user of the building, I completely agree. No conflict of interest for me because I don't live in the village, but yeah, I do occasionally, of course, to use it, and I would agree they need replacing.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Sanford?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I would agree. This seems like a good project to support. Particularly happy to see they're using a local craftsperson to do the work. So we're really just funding the materials, I think.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hanjaj.
I think this is, there's a safety issue here, fire retardant fabrics and things, so we can't say no to this.
Thank you. Now, I'm taking it from my colleagues that this is a yes from us, so we just log that as a unanimous. Thank you. Over to you, Emma. Thanks.
On to page 10. Did you want me to wait? Sorry. I'll wait. Okay. So page 10, we have the Falmere Village Hall and Recreation Ground. This can be hired out by the local community and the surrounding villages. Fundraising events and NHS blood donor sessions are just two examples of this venue is used for. Another sort of window-related project here, we have the windows that are very high here, and the management committee would like to install remote-controlled blinds to solve the issues caused by direct sunlight. Total costs are £8,298 and £2,000 has been requested from the community chest. Just to note that the village hall pay a peppercorn rent to the parish council, and the parish council have already provided the new children's play equipment and more recently the adult gym equipment at the rec. The remaining shortfall will be covered by the Falmere Village Hall Management Committee, and we have support from Councillor James Hobo. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Colleagues, comments? Councillor Hanley?
I just ask the parish council support to be confirmed, and has the parish council supported the group previously to be confirmed? I wonder if you could just give us clarity on that, Emma.
If I recall, we've had a couple of applications in the past few years from the Falmere Sports and Social, this particular building, and the parish council has always contributed, although there was some improvements to car parks, drainage and stuff, if I recall, and toilets. So they're doing a piecemeal upgrade, I think. So it sounds about right. That's good. Colleagues, Peter?
At first I was skeptical about remote control, but if they're doing blood donations, I think this is appropriate. So say yes.
Pete?
Thank you. Yeah, I assume the windows are sort of top of the wall height. They need to be remote controlled. Yeah, Emma's nodding. So yeah, that explain the extra costs for the remote control, which is fine.
Okay. I'm assuming then that there was no negative comments, that we're in agreement. That's a yes from us. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the next one is Linton Community Quilt. They were formed in 2021 to create a series of wall hangings depicting iconic places and life in the village. These hangings will be displayed in public spaces in the village, ready for the Linton in Bloom next spring. The Crafty Cafe is an offshoot of this organisation, and it began during COVID lockdowns, to provide crafting activities once a month to those who are socially isolated. Sessions still continue and last for 2 hours each month in the Chalklands Community Hall. Activities provided are wide and varied, such as sewing, crochet, card making and quilting, and trips out to organise and a Christmas event is put on. Transport is also provided where needed, and they are looking for £593.98 for crafting materials, all of which has been requested from the community chest. You can see a picture of some of the examples there. The parish council will fund any shortfalls plus the £60 needed for the rent of the Linton Village Hall once a year for 3 hours. the use of the Chalklands Community Hall, which is where most of their activities take place, for 10 months equates to about £100. But they've said that many of the attendees actually live in the Chalklands, and they are naturally entitled to use this hall for free. So they're going to make some inquiries to see whether this £100 could actually be waived going forwards. Donated craft materials are also accepted, so obviously it's one of the green sort of considerations, and we have support from Councillor Henry and John Batchelor. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. This is nothing to do with windows, but I think it's an excellent application, very detailed. Any comments from my colleagues? Sunita?
It's one of the good things to come out of COVID is that people found crafts again. And it's such a lovely project, and I think it's worthwhile supporting it.
Thank you. Sue?
As many may know, I'm an avid quilter, as is my daughter, and have enormous numbers of quilts that are half done. Some of them are getting finished, but materials are often something that gets left by people when they die, if you see what I mean. And I seem to have got a name for going around and collecting them. So if anybody's ever short of any material, I have a very large stock. And I support this entirely.
I am biting my lip to say the obvious. So hang on, don't go just yet. Right, that would be round. Councillor Sanford.
Thank you, Chair. Just a little bit concerned they submitted this application without closing the circle with the community hall. If they'd come and said, we've got free use of the building or we need an extra £100, that's fine. But it's sort of left it in mid-air here that I'm sure we'd look favourably on the extra £100 if they did need to pay for the use of the building, but it almost feels incomplete at the moment with that paragraph in there.
Okay, that's a really good point. I'll come to Councillor Handley. I'm just looking at John Williams just to see if he can have a comment on that after Bill's had his bit. Bill, you want to say your...
But bearing in mind what Councillor Ellington said just now, we don't want her knocking on our door, do we? No, seriously, to me it does look, albeit understand what Councillor Sanford said, but it does look like an excellent application. And I'm just delighted that we've got a good art-based project that we can fund.
Emma, you want to...
Just to say that in their original application, they actually did apply for some of the hall hire costs because that's actually a revenue cost, not funded through it's not included in our criteria. I went back to them and said, or Jane went back to them, should I say, and sort of said, could we just have it for the craft materials, which is what this is, just the materials. So just to bear that in mind.
Okay, that's a misunderstanding, and I probably don't need to come to your good self, but I will anyway, John.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to make the point that obviously if they can't get the hall, then it won't go ahead and we won't pay them the money. So, I don't think there's a problem here with this. And it does fit very well with our well-being, policies. So.
Thank you, John. Emma, over to you.
Thank you. So the next one on page 13 is Carlton Parish Council. This is a parish council with less than 200 electors, so they're eligible to apply. They would like to install 2 benches so people can enjoy the views across the countryside and have a rest. One is by the Millennium Path in the main village and the other by the byroad at Willingham Green. Both sites are privately owned, but the landowners have given their permission, which is great. And a plaque commemorating the coronation of King Charles III will be put on each bench. Total costs are £681.90, all of which has been requested from the community chest, and that's for the benches, plaques, gravel and delivery. We have support from Councillor Jeff Harvey. Thank you.
Comments, colleagues? Councillor Hamraj?
I just think this is lovely. I don't see any reason why not to agree to it.
Anybody else? Councillor Ellington?
I'm very happy to support it. They're a small village and that's what we should be helping. They don't have a precept they can call on quite as easy as larger villages.
Councillor Hanley and then Sanford.
Yeah, I had no idea there were two Willinghams. When I saw it, I thought, oh, I'm going to have to declare an interest, then I realised where it was. Yeah, I agree. I support this. Absolutely support it. Yeah.
Yep, me too. Seems absolutely nice enhancement to put a couple of benches on the walking paths and let people rest and admire the view. So it's a yes from me.
Thank you very much. Again, no need to raise of hands. That's unanimous. Over to you, Emma. Thanks.
Okay, page 14, we have Bar Hill Community Association. They support individuals and events within the village and the surrounding area. This includes the provision of facilities for recreation. The charity would like to offer an after-school club at Bar Hill County Primary School, and this is based on the first Lego League. This will involve STEM coaching, years 5 and 6, to learn a program to learn to program a Lego robot to carry out various challenges on a Lego League playmat. And the children would also be able to create their own T-shirt design and keep the T-shirts at the end as well. The project will initially run for 1 term for around 10 children, but it's hoped that it can continue so the children can take place in the finals event. And this, obviously, they would like to expand to other schools as well if it's a success. Total project costs are £1,806.74, all of which is being requested from the community chest, and there's a breakdown of all the various items there. The school have not been approached for funding, as this is intended to introduce them to the project, but going forwards the intention is that they will be able to fund this themselves. The parish council haven't been approached on this occasion. Again, it's the intention that the charity will seek funding for other community projects in the future as well from them. And we have support from Councillor Bunty Waters. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Councillor Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Before you discuss this, can I ask, it wasn't clear from the report, Emma, is this just open to those children who attend Bar Hill Community Primary School?
I'm not sure, Jen, I think it might, because it's only limited to 10, so I assume that it probably would be because it's at their primary school, but they did say that they wanted to expand. So it looks like it probably is, yes.
Okay, in that situation, I'm not inclined to support this. I think if it was open to all primary school children living in Bar Hill, then obviously it is a separate issue from the school. It's a community facility, open to all. But it reads to me as this is an after-school club run by the school, and the school is getting equipment from us to run this and to enable it to enter into some Lego competition. So it doesn't quite fit our criteria. That's my view, and unless I have evidence to show that this will be open to all children of that age who live in Bar Hill, then I'm inclined not to agree to it, unless you can persuade me otherwise.
The question I was going to ask you, John, was if that was, for argument's sake, if we amongst us have a quick chat and then our general agreement would be to defer, perhaps till next month, if we can do that, right, and ask officers to go back to the applicant and say, can this be open to all children in Bar Hill? If the answer is no, then I think perhaps the decision then we can make officer decision to say that would be a refusal. But if it was a yes, would you be happy with that then for the officers then to grant this on that basis?
Yeah, I would be happy if it was open to all children of years 5 and 6 in Bar Hill, whether they went to the local primary school or not.
That's fabulous. I'll throw it to the floor. Councillor Hanraj, then Councillor Handley, then and Sanford, then Hanraj.
Councillor Williams makes a good point, and your solution seems good for me. The only thing I would say is, does that make a very complicated issue for the financial year end? You know, if we defer, that's the only thing. But I suspect it's something that we can get around quite legitimately.
The statement that concerns me under green options is the equipment will become the property of the school, which tends to suggest we're funding the school by the back door. If the equipment is ring fenced and maintained by the community association, that's great, but not if it's going to the school, just to, so maybe defer to get some clarity and maybe some alterations to what they've proposed.
Yes, I totally agree with what's been said already. I have nothing to add.
Councillor Hinton.
I understand the issues that have been raised. I would just point out that the applicant is a volunteer and doesn't appear to have any connection with the school as such. And further through it, I think the person who's going to lead it has got to go on a course. And again, may not be one of the teachers, but I do agree that we shouldn't be funding the school by the back door, really. It does need to stay as part of a community project.
Okay, so I'm going to be looking at Councillor Williams on this one. So I think we've got the ask Emma and co to go back to the applicant and say, will this be open to all children in years 5 and 6 for the whole of Bar Hill? And also the point made by Councillor Sanford with regard to the school essentially owning the equipment after the, and it's one term, I note, so there are 3 school terms in there, at least. It's a while since I've been to school, but I think there are 3 terms. So what happens for the other 2 terms, and who pays for the other 2 terms if this is a roaring success? And I suspect it will be, given its Lego and doing bits and pieces of robots. So we need to be able to find out how they're going to fund the rest of it. But again, who gets to keep the equipment and what have you. Essentially, we were paying out public funds, which could be paid from the education department, which we then can't tweak. Got a comment?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I mean, it could be suggested to them that once, you know, if this is just a one-off thing to enter for this competition, which suggests it is, there's a Lego competition for schools, I would suggest it probably doesn't meet our criteria anyway, but if it did, and they said it would be open to everyone, and the team would come from Bar Hill, not just from that primary school, perhaps they could then donate that equipment to the local playgroup, or, you know, to some other organisation in Bar Hill to benefit the community, rather than give it to the school.
Emma, sorry.
I think it's, yeah, I think maybe that would be sort of a good approach. Obviously, play groups, I think it's a bit more advanced for sort of preschoolers, but, and yeah, and also I think that they are actually retaining one piece. It does say in the application that they will be keeping, where is it? I think the club organiser will actually use it to sort of train others up as well. So he has got one piece that he retains, but I will take those points back. Thank you.
I kind of think we've got a bit of a deferral situation here. I'm minded actually, John, rather than defer it, there's several aspects perhaps that we've identified through discussion and your valued input, that rather than defer it, should we bring this back with the answers back to the next committee? Yeah, would you mind doing that? Would you, Emma? Bring it back rather than, it's not that we don't trust your decision making, it's actually there are too many little variables here that I think we've all had our 2 penneth with, and I think it would be wise, and obviously to make sure that John's happy with that as well at the end of it. So if you, all the points we've made, see what the answers come back from the applicant, and then could we bring it back to the next, please, defer to the next meeting, yeah? Thank you. Right, and I'll leave you to come on with the next one, thanks.
Thank you. So page 16, we have Camborne Church. They're a community church that began welcoming new residents. Sorry, the community began welcoming new residents in 2000, and the church has 93 members. Volunteers from the church have recently set up the Harbour Bereavement Cafe. That's to offer people of all faiths and those that have no faith who have been bereaved, and this is a place to meet and to connect with others who are also on the journey of bereavement. The free to attend cafe will open at least once a month to adults from the local community and also beyond, and it will operate as informal drop-in sessions. Funding of £425 has been requested for the training for 5 volunteers. Camborne Crier and the Camborne Church have provided £150 and £366 in funding respectively, and this will be for other project costs that you can see that are broken down there as well. And we have support from 3 of the Camborne councillors. I'd just like to highlight that we do have 2 applications from Camborne Church, and Councillor Stephen Drew's support there that I've put in, that's actually for the second one, but he has actually confirmed his support. We do have a separate email from that, so if you see a duplicated one talking about the Silver Jubilee Garden, that's for the second application. Thank you.
Colleagues. Councillor Hamraj.
I think this is a very necessary thing, and I'm glad to see that it says here they've been supported by the social prescriber team in the GP practice. There's also training that they're going to undertake, and I think this is very valuable way of spending the money.
Thank you, Councillor Hinton.
I'm still trying to work out why it's called the Harbour, but I didn't know we were on the side of a river.
That comes of global warming. 150 years will be Camborne by sea. It's okay.
Okay. I think it looks like a good project, but there's something in me that makes me a little concerned about it. In that it looks as if it might be very religiously based, and maybe is it just me and the way I see things, or is it a feeling that people might be coerced into, no, that's not the right word, might be persuaded to follow a particular religion as part of this? Sorry, that's just a feeling I get. Sorry.
Don't apologise, this is for debate. Councillor Hamraj.
I think the fact that there is some sort of GP support and the fact that they're going to undertake training, that is not religiously based. It is just that they're a church who are trying to help people. I don't think there will be any preaching involved, and personally, I think it's just because they're a church, people shouldn't hesitate to use this service. But that's my personal view. But yeah, I don't think that they're trying to convert people. I think they've come up with this idea, and I think it's a good one.
Thank you, Councillor Sanford.
Thank you. And yes, just to follow up on Councillor Hanraj's comments, there are actually 5 churches involved. So they are all Christian churches, admittedly, and there's a big groups of other denominations in Camborne, which I would like to have seen involved also, but I'm also questioning some of their costings. Meeting refreshments, £1.95. Is that one small jar of instant coffee? I'm not quite sure where that came from, but yeah, I would prefer to see a sort of a wider umbrella of different religions encompassed in this.
Councillor Hanley?
Yeah, I've got real concerns about this. I mean, it's not a huge amount of money, but surely the church is there to provide bereavement counselling. Is one of the things it does for its congregation. That's part of their remit. So I'm not convinced. I also like the idea that it's all just Christian churches that are a part of it. I know that we've got Shravona Bhattacharya supports it as a ward councillor. We know that she's a member of the Hindu faith, but I can't see anything other than I keep seeing Shared Churches Ely staring me in the face, and I just makes me feeling quite uncomfortable.
Councillor Raj?
So we're focusing on the word church, but is there any temples or mosques or something that has come up with this idea? Somebody has come up with this idea. I think it's a valuable one. If people don't want to be converted, just don't go.
Councillor Williams?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. What immediately sprung to mind when I read this was, is there a multi-faith group in Campbell? Because I don't want to add to Emma's workload, but maybe if we approached the multi-faith group and asked, are they happy with this being available? Is this going to be available for everyone? And will it be used by other faiths other than Christian? If it is, then fine, I don't have an issue with it. If it is purely a Diocese of Ely project, then clearly it doesn't meet our criteria because it is exclusive. So, but I think we need a bit more information on it. So in principle, I don't have a problem with this. I think it's a really good idea. Again, it fits in with our wellbeing policies, but I just need to make sure that it's going to be open to everyone. They say it's open to all faiths and none, but I just want to check that that is the situation. It's not just a Friday, once a month Friday afternoon club for Christians. And I wondered to do that, perhaps, if there is a multi-faith group in organisation in Campbell, and they could give us that reassurance.
Can I just say that I've actually Jane and I visited this church before, and it is very sort of welcoming, and we know that a food bank runs from there as well, so it's quite open, it's very open and sort of welcoming to a lot of people. I didn't sort of get any sort of inkling. The Warm Hub as well, was it? Yes, the Warm Hub, quite a lot of community sort of type events take place there, and it's obviously a good sort of central venue as well.
Thank you, Emma. Councillor Ellington?
Thank you. I just wasn't quite sure whether we're on the same page with Stephen Drew, who says he's wants the application for the Silver Jubilee Garden in Campbell at the end.
That was the one that I mentioned already, that it was the duplicate, because we've got two applications from Campbell Church. So fine. Yes, I've mentioned that, yeah.
I think Councillor Drew had his special pen out. He submitted it. Right, as a confirmed atheist, I'm with you, Councillor Hamaraj. I have no problem with this at all. I think actually listen to what Emma and Jane just said as well. Hey, they're already doing a load of work in the community anyway, which is helping out everybody anyway. So I think we should go to the vote because we have difference of opinion, which is fair enough. So I think we'll go to the vote, and if you could just do a raise of hands. The raise of hands will be to support the application, and then it'll be a raise of hands for you don't support it or if you abstain. So, do you want to say something, Bill?
Yeah, I'm not, if I raise my hand on the second thing, it wouldn't be to object or refuse. It would be basically asking for the information that Councillor Williams has just asked for. Clarification on, is there a multi-faith aspect to this? I just, at the moment, it just sits uncomfortably with me. And, but I mean, I'm not against it in principle. But I just need reassurance that it is truly available to everyone in a non religious way. That's what I want assurance.
Ironically, as an atheist, when you look at the names of the churches listed, they are poles apart in their teachings as well. Right, they really are. Right, and that's just within the Christian community, so to speak. Everyone has a different view on what happened or didn't happen, as the case may be. So I take your point, but I think just to go back to say, is there a multi-faith group that could rather make the application? I think I'll go to John Williams.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, to save the situation, I will, in my role as League Cabinet Resources, agree to this application. So I hear what you've all said, taking it on board, but I will approve this application. Okay, so it avoids us having to have a vote.
Councillor Raj.
You know, what could come out of this is that other religions might recognize the need for this if they're successful and do it themselves. If it's going to be a religion that's going to be the issue. But when you need something like this, it doesn't seem to matter who helps you.
Or better still, if there are any other religions, they can come and join in, because all of these religions, all religions in this country actually prefer to work with other religions on anything to do with the community. So that's why I think we've cracked it. So John has made his case very clear, right? I'm with John. Sunita's with John. It just leaves you three guys, I suppose, to say which way you want to go, but it doesn't really matter because he's signing it off anyway.
I can't see the point in voting.
I think we'll go with you, John. That'd be fine. Thanks. Next one, please, Emma.
Okay, thank you. So the next one is the first of our cost of living applications, page 18. So we have Hope Against Poverty, which I'm sure you're aware of, the great work that they do. Set up in 2020 and provides support services to South Cambridgeshire residents to be free from poverty. Over 1,000 registered members receive their services on a regular basis. They work closely with us, the council, the town council, and well-known referrers such as Citizens Advice. They have a mobile food van that covers 6 and soon to be 7 South Cambridgeshire villages. Free food and other essentials are given to any resident in regard to their situation. But their small van is run on diesel, and they've also just received £15,000 in zero carbon communities funding, that was last year, and £17,000 from Aviva to go towards the purchase of a larger electric transit van to help reduce carbon emissions. They've had a successful crowdfunding campaign that they've exceeded their sort of total, and they're now in a position to make that purchase of the vehicle. But to convert the van into a mobile community shop, they need shelves, flooring, lighting, counters and steps. And total estimated costs for these modifications are £2,160, and £2,000 has been requested from the community chest. So you can see the breakdown there. And there's lots of detail in this application, and we have support from all 3 Camborne councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Whilst this is so sad in our day and age that this is the sort of thing that needs to be done or be provided, this is an absolutely excellent. If you recall, we had the director or managing director of the Camborne project. I I can't remember the guy's name, but it was, pardon? Mahesh, that's it. He came and presented to the committee. Fabulous project, absolutely fabulous. So I think this is great. I'm going to go to Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I would support this. However, I am a bit annoyed with Hope CIC. A few months back, all my parishes, and I assume every parish in the district, got a begging letter from them asking if parishes would support the purchase of a new van. And I thought, hold on a moment, I thought we'd given them some money to do that. So I asked Chris Richards to look into this, and it transpired that we had given them 15,000 towards a new van, and that obviously that wasn't going to cover the cost of a new electric van, but that was on the understanding that they were going to sell their existing diesel van. So they weren't running a diesel van, they were going to run an electric van. Now they got this extra money from Arriva, 17,000 for them, and they've also crowdfunded. So they've got enough money to buy a new electric van. But they're not intending to dispose of their diesel van. Now, my view is that that was part of the condition of us giving them the 15,000 towards purchasing an electric vehicle, i.e. that the diesel vehicle was then disposed of. So I'm a little bit annoyed with them. I'm particularly annoyed with the letter they sent because they made no reference in that letter to the fact that we had funded this. And it gave the impression that unless people gave them money, then they were going to have to stop. They were going to have to stop, the food hub, which is totally wrong, which was, misleading, extremely misleading. So they have really annoyed me. So although I agree that, yes, we should give them money to fit this van out, I think it should be on a condition that they have disposed of their diesel vehicle. Because that was what was originally intended, that was what they came to us for originally. That's why it was funded out the Zero Carbon Community Fund, because it was going to take a diesel vehicle off the road. And the fact they're no longer they're not doing that, they're funding this for a new vehicle, and they're not disposing of the diesel vehicle, I think goes against, if not the letter, the spirit of the original 15,000 we gave them, particularly as they haven't even acknowledged that when they sent their begging letter to parish councils. So they really upset me, actually, on this. So, yes, let's fit it out, but I want to see the diesel van disposed of.
Councillor Rose.
I have two things to say. They come to Orchard Park and lay out their goods on a portable table. So I'm not sure why they need to convert this into a mobile shop, because they already have the means. They're visible when they do that. The other thing I have to ask about Orchard Park is is how well used this is, because whether it's true or not, I have heard it that they're disposing of unsold food in a bin. Red Hand Project supports Orchard Park very well indeed. So I don't know how well used this service is in Orchard Park.
Thank you. Councillor Hanley.
I take what Councillor Hunsraj says, but I think this is a slightly off topic for this. I mean, there's an issue in Orchard Park. We need to sort the issue in Orchard Park. I'm inclined to agree with Councillor Williams. I wasn't aware of that, John. But I think, we need to get that diesel vehicle off the road. That's the point. Yeah, so I agree completely.
Councillor Sanford.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with the other two. If the electric van is a replacement for the diesel, the diesel should be disposed of, and the profits from the sale should go towards funding more food. So, yeah, I'm in agreement with Councillor Williams.
Councillor Harrington.
I fully support what John has said. It seems that they're trying to get money in whatever way possible, and that isn't, we have a duty to spend our money in a targeted way.
It's a shame, actually. I go back to what I said earlier when we had the presentation, because it was an excellent idea, is an excellent idea. Perhaps some guidance could be offered as to how to raise funds and how to be honest about how you raise those funds and how you acknowledge those who have already supported, etc., etc., etc. I'm not suggesting that Emma write a long letter of whatever, but actually there may be some inference in the questions that we might ask this particular applicant about how they're going to dispose of and when the diesel van. And I wonder actually if there's anything in the zero carbon grants criteria, just trying to think back, but is there anything in there that says that if we have funded you for an electric van to do away with your diesel van and then you don't, are you in contravention of that grant? So there's part of me that says, you know, when one has to play ball if one is getting a serious amount of money. You can't just blag it.
I was particularly annoyed that they didn't acknowledge us in their begging letter to parish councils. It was almost like, you know, nobody else is funding us, and if we don't get this money, you know, then we're going to have to stop providing the food van, and that's not true. You know, they have had money from us. They've had money from other people as well. So there was no intent. You know, there was no way the food service was going to stop. Mobile food service was going to stop. And it just annoyed me the way that they had approached the parishes. And, you know, in the situation I have in, you know, my ward, where it's a split ward, that was made off by my Conservative opponent. So, as I say, I want to see the diesel van disposed of. That was what they asked us to fund. They wanted to get rid of their diesel van, replace it with an electric van. That's what they should stick to. And if they're not doing that, then I don't think we should support them, because, you know, they have a means of paying for this by disposing of their diesel van.
Okay. So we'll defer this, I think. I'd like to defer this. There is a strength of feeling in the room which is not one of approval. So rather than knock it back completely, I think defer it and say, would you mind, Emma and Jane, writing to the applicant and asking what is their time frame for the disposal of the diesel van from service for this project? And I'm wondering, I'm looking at my colleagues, I'm wondering whether or not in that letter any reference to acknowledgement of all funders. So if you write a letter to somebody asking for funds, A, it has to be factually correct. B, it would be prudent to say, because everybody has, a parish council who has a grant funding process, all say, have you been funded by anybody else? And so therefore you should just give them that polite reference at the start to say, well, actually, South Camps have done this, Camborne Parish Council have done that, this council has done that, and, you know, Aviva have done this for us, and we are where we are, but we still need X to make this run, and we welcome your support. Not we will shut it, it will have to go if you don't give us anything. I think that is particularly impolite. So if colleagues are in agreement with that, and Lead Member Finance in agreement with that, the letter goes to the applicant with those points, especially the diesel van. And would it be possible for officers to have a quick look at the criteria for the zero carbon? If there are any red flags that throw up in that we've provided funding for something that we were under the impression was going to be got rid of and now hasn't, I think the letter can go back and say, that 15 grand we gave you, can we have it back or lose the van? Oh, yeah, right, yeah. More polite than that, but along those lines. If you're happy with that, John, we'll ask officers to do that, yeah?
Yeah, I'm happy. I was going to say, I'm quite happy if they have a new van, and it needs to be fitted out, fine. But what I'm not happy about is, them not keeping to their side of the agreement, for the original grant to get the electric van.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll just hang on for a couple of seconds while you disappear for a second, Bill, and then come back, yeah? Talk amongst ourselves. Just remind colleagues we are still live, so. Welcome back over to you, Emma. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we have page 21, Reach Community Projects, established in 2005 as a debt charity. They aim to relieve and prevent poverty while tackling the causes. Within South Cambridgeshire, 7 parishes are currently supported. Requests and referrals for help in South Cambridgeshire have continued to rise. 75 people have been helped over the last 4 months compared to 49 in the same period last year. And they would like to broaden their audience and also develop targeted outreach campaigns. Total project costs are £31,950 and £2,000 has been requested from the community chest. This is for staffing and running costs. They've received funding from other organisations as well. They will still need to raise some additional funds. They've acknowledged this on their budget sheet that we were provided with. They also get £5,000 per annum from our service support grant that you'll be aware of. And they've mentioned the green options. Obviously, food bank cardboard boxes are reused, and we have support from both Councillor John and Henry Batchelor. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Colleagues? Any colleagues got a comment? Councillor Hanley?
Well, it strikes me that what they're doing is actually quite similar to some of the stuff that we're doing as a district councillor. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all, but it does appear to be at least complementary. I think I can, yeah, I'm sure I can support this. It's sad that this kind of work is needed, but that's the fact of life these days.
I noticed on page 21, after the general who's who section. It's got established in 2005 as a debt charity reach, that paragraph there. And it's got 1 to 4, and it's debt counselling, budgeting and money management, that's fine. And it's got financial assistance with basic costs, such as emergency gas and electric provision. So are we just giving money to a system that basically gives money out again, so to speak, where there are agencies that do that? As you say, doubling up work.
Sorry, Chair, yeah, you've summed your feelings up, my feelings up, better than I did, actually. That's what I was trying to say, is that what they're doing is very similar to what we're doing. So are we handing money to an organisation to hand it out again where we could do it ourselves? That's my point.
Councillor Ellington.
In other words, are we propping up a charity to do what we do ourselves? And is that good use of resources, or could we do it more economically ourselves?
Particularly since some of the money that's going is going to salaries.
Yeah, but I'm not, you know, there's an awful lot of charities out there that are looking for money, but I'm not sure that this sort of grant, the community grant, is appropriate for it. So I'm a little worried about it.
Just a bit, I'll come to you in a second, Pete. Just the 1 to 4 is quite illuminating. So number 1 is debt counselling, budgeting and money management support. That's fine. So there's an educational side of it. The financial assistance in number 2 with basic costs such as emergency gas and electric provision is a concern that we raised. Number 3, preventative money management lessons in local schools. I don't know what the preventative money management lessons in local schools, sorry. And emergency food supplies to individuals and families in crisis. Well, you've got Hope, who's been talking about there, albeit they've got to deal with some issues, and there are other bits and pieces we deal with, food banks and stuff, so
Yeah, thank you. The one thing I don't think we do, but I was going to raise, is the money management lessons in local schools. Again, we're funding a gap in the education system. I mean, it seems worthwhile to teach school kids how to handle money, but could this not be part of one of the regular curriculum?
and we have a couple of these. I mean, officers can perhaps remind us of the different groups that we support generally through the year with finance, where they aren't whole SCDC units. They just do that periphery. Some might come from East Cambs and do like a little tip, like I think this one does. It's just Abingdon, Little and Great Abingdon, Balsham, Hawfeast and Wickham, Linton and Castle Champs. So that's that one little side of SCDC, and then you've got the rest of SCDC, which is not dealt with by them, it would appear. When they say they like to expand into other parishes, but there's about another 100 parishes, give or take, in South Cambs. They're not in at the moment, where others do a much wider job. I'm kind of talking myself out of this a little bit, so I'm looking at the lead member for finance for some guidance for the committee, if I may.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, yes, a lot of this is stuff that we do and other organisations do, but obviously they are finding a need. They are, you know, if there wasn't, and if we were doing it perfectly, then these people wouldn't need to be there. But clearly, they are reaching people that we're not reaching, you know, and sort of, hence their name Reach. But I mean, you know, they are at the moment supporting what we're doing by the very fact that we're not able, and don't have the resource to meet, serve everybody, to identify everybody, and they're helping those that we're not identifying and not supporting. So I'm inclined to support them, to be honest. It's only £2,000. And I think at the moment, until, we've improved our resources to ensure that we are able to identify and reach everyone that is, that requires support, then they are fulfilling a valuable sort of plug to people that we are currently missing. Because if we weren't missing them, then they wouldn't have clients and they wouldn't be asking us for money. So my view is to support them. But hopefully over the next couple of years, with the work that we're doing with artificial intelligence in identifying people that aren't that are entitled to benefits but aren't claiming those benefits, until we're in that situation where we know that we are reaching everyone, I feel that we must rely on the support of others to help us. And this is one way. It's a very small area of South Cambs. It's a part of South Cambs actually that's often forgotten. It's right down on the southeast tip of South Cambs. I suspect that a lot of people don't even realise that those parishes are in South Cambs. Apart from Linton, they're all out towards Suffolk. They're all next to West Suffolk, much nearer to Haverhill than they are to Cambridge. And they do get missed. And that's not deliberate. It's just that we don't have the resources to do it. So if these people are coming in and helping us, then until we are able to do that ourselves, and there isn't a need, and these people find that they find that they actually don't have clients because we're finding them and supporting them, then I think it's a small amount of money to plug a hole in our in the district. That's my view. So I would be, I hear what you're saying, but it hasn't convinced me yet that we shouldn't support these people.
Thank you, John. Councillor Hanraj.
I totally agree with what Councillor Williams is saying, because I think there's also this thing about people being reluctant to approach the council. It possibly sounds too official to them, and they just struggle on without knowing exactly what these people are offering is to help them.
Okay, thank you. Right. I always think the art of discussion is to have someone change your mind. My mind is obviously changed. So I think John's points are really valid as it goes, actually, and I hadn't thought of it in that context. So, you need to know when you're wrong. I was wrong, so that's that. So am I looking around the room, my colleagues, and thinking that obviously we agree with the League for Finance, that we support this?
John's convinced me, certainly.
Lovely. I think then we're unanimous.
Yeah. I mean, I said at the beginning that I didn't have a real problem with this. I just had some nagging doubts, which John has kind of alleviated. Yeah.
Superb. That's a yes from us then, Emma. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, leading on to page 22, we have Melbourne Fete Committee. The first fete was held in 1986. But for 2024, and as a response to the cost of living crisis, the committee are staging a free-to-enter fete on June the 15th with free or low-cost attractions for families. It will also provide opportunities for local clubs, societies and charities to set up stalls and raise money, and also attract new members and provide entertainment to help with their fundraising. For example, Home Start. Funds that are raised are distributed to local good causes that benefit the local community. For example, Melbourne Action Community Supports for their food bank as well. Expected expenditure is £5,760 and £2,000 has been requested from the community chest. You can see that includes attractions, publicity, a raffle, competitions, etc. And it's hoped that about £2,000 will be raised from local businesses and that a grant from the parish council will match any grant provided by the community chest, if that is funded, obviously. Money will also be raised from approximately 40 stallholders, food vendors and the raffle. Donations totalling £1,150 have been received from there's 4 organisations there, and we have support from 2 councillors, Councillor Jo Hales and Sally Ann Hart. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. You've seen my piece, that's fine. I will be going to the fete. I don't think that requires a declaration of interest because it is rather good. I think probably what I'll do is I'm going to, since this is in my patch thoroughly and I did take part in it, so to speak, I'll hand over to Sue on this one if you don't mind.
Oh, fine.
I'll stick around, but I'll let you take it. Yeah.
Any comments from anybody? Yes, please.
Oh, what a lovely thing this is, steam engine ride. I fully support this.
I think I can support this provided we see the pictures of Councillor Hales after he's had his face painted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, absolutely wonderful community event, so good to support.
Anything from you, Bill?
I'm happy to support on the condition that we don't have a photograph of Joe's house.
We have conflict in. I want to see him with a red Indian feathers round his head as well. I support it particularly because there's obviously a lot of support from local businesses as well, and this just puts that bit of extra input into it. And I'm sure there'll be a South Cambs stall at your fete to forward some of our services. So are we all in agreement? Oh, Jose, do you want to say something?
If I may.
Oh, I don't know.
It says here about the parish council. I understand that the parish council has just opened its grant process this very week on Monday. So I suspect that they will be successful as well in that process. So they are getting support from everywhere. So thank you. Oh, and by the way, I was doing well when Bill declined to see the photograph, but Sue has now reopened it. This is a worrying trend.
Anything from you, John?
No, I'm fine with it.
So are we all in agreement? Yes. So that's agreed. Thank you. I'll pass back to Jose.
Over to you, Emma. Camborne Church, please.
Thank you. This is our last application. It's a biodiversity application from Camborne Church. This time for a Silver Jubilee Garden to celebrate 25 years since the first residents moved to Camborne, and also to celebrate the formation of the church. So this will be a high quality, accessible and durable wildlife and produce garden, and also will be for the church and the community to enjoy. It will be open to the public on all sides, with the Camborne Food Bank benefiting from the harvested produce. The wildlife areas will be managed in accordance with the Wildlife Trust Cambridgeshire Churchyard Conservation Scheme. You can see the picture there, obviously from the side of the church. Funding has been requested from the community chest for rainwater harvesting from the part of the church roof. It's quite a big roof, you can see, so I should imagine they'd probably harvest quite a bit there. They would like these 3 black IBC tanks, and also the installation costs. They initially came to us with the quotes, but they've now got a sort of firm quote from the supplier, Initially, they said the installation cost would be around £300, but since this report was published, a firm quote has been received for a bit more, which is £1,047, which includes a skip, 2.5 days labour, pre-mixed concrete, positioning and connecting the tanks to each other and the downpipe. This means the total amount requested is now £1,947, not £1,200. So just be aware of that. And we have support from all three Camborne councillors. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. Okay. I'm going to the elephant in the room. On page 25, potential features. Do we have any more information, Emma, on interpretation and education information? Interpretation of what? Prayer prompts. Artwork is fine in QR codes, but what are the QR codes for? The memorial part of remembrance isn't a problem either. But those other two, what we discussed this with one of our previous, where the church is very heavily involved, and that's fine. If this is going to be a faith-driven process, then it doesn't necessarily fit with the criteria per se. The rest of it is fine by the looks of it, but it's just some of the language used is heading down the road of concern. So if you have any extra information on that, it'd be handy.
Yep, I can find that out. I don't know exactly what will be on these interpretation boards and also the prayer prompts, but I mean, it says it includes artwork as well, so it'd be good to sort of see some examples of what they mean.
I think that would be helpful, actually. So I'm minded to ask colleagues to think about deferral so we can get this information. I'd like to know what the word interpretation means and of what. And the artwork is fine. The QR codes, what do they appertain to? And the prayer prompts. Is this a faith garden, or is this a garden anyone can come to, and of any? I suppose if you argue any denomination of any faith will have a prayer, so that's fine. I suppose if you want to look at it that point of view, just need a bit of clarification, I think, just to make things a bit happier. Anyone got any other colleague? Peter, Councillor Sanford.
Yeah, look, clarification, perhaps a rough design of what they're intending. It's pretty vague at the moment. Memorial area for remembrance events could cover almost anything. So yeah, a little more detail, please.
Councillor Henry.
If I was cynical, I'd suggest that this was a Christian club asking us to donate money to its garden. Sorry, that's but I'm not a cynic, of course. But it does, again, gives me cause for concern. I'm not at all convinced.
Before I come to you, Sunita, it is exactly the same group with 93 members as the previous one. And it's the same group of churches doing their thing, which is fine. If they're doing all their bits and pieces, they said before, with the food bank and the warm hub and all the rest of it. But I think this isn't going to be a warm hub, it's outside. So, Councillor Hamraj.
I'm not comfortable with this one. There's too much of the church involved. There was absolutely no need for prayer prompts and such like. I totally do not. I support the biodiversity side, but that is church land, is it? I'm not comfortable with this for the reason that I think there's too much emphasis on a particular religion.
Councillor Sanford. Oh, no, sorry, but Councillor Anderson, big one.
Yes, I wish they'd left the middle section of this application out altogether, because what they're actually asking for is funding for the rainwater harvesting. They're not actually asking for anything else. And if they'd left all that other information out, we'd probably all be saying, yeah, that's a great idea. But we've suddenly moved to it being a garden where we're not feeling as comfortable. And I just wonder whether we can take that bit out of the application and just work on the idea of rainwater harvesting.
Councillor Williams.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I mean, what I would like to have seen is a plan of actually what they want to do, because they seem to, you know, if they're asking for this water harvesting equipment, they must know where they're going to put that and what it's going to serve. But it doesn't seem to go into any great detail on that. It's not clear whether it's a garden or a vegetable patch. At one point, it's a garden that you can sit in. Another point, it's going to be a vegetable patch for to support the food hub. Also, Councillor Helen Leeming seems to know far more about this than anybody else, and talks about it's going to be coordinated with the town's social prescribers. Well, who are that? What's that? You know,
NHS.
So, oh right, okay. So we need, you know, so obviously they have plans. They must have some detailed plans as to what they want to do. I would be happier for them to share those plans with us so that we can see how our donation fits in with what they intend to do. Whereas at the moment, you know, I read this and I wasn't at all clear as to what this purpose of this was, other than to try and fit it in with the criteria for the community fund. So I would be happy to defer this and get more details from them, because that's actually, you know, where we've given money. I'm thinking of is it Melbourne where we supported a community area?
Marble
Yeah.
Green, Meldrift.
Meldrift, that's it. You know, and we were happy to do that because we were given a plan and we knew exactly what they were going to spend the money on and how it fitted in with the whole thing. This, I'm not clear, it's not clear exactly how, you know, buying this rainwater harvesting equipment is going to fit with this garden.
It feels like the group of 93 members have got a list of projects which we've been saying to people for years and years and years. Please have lots of projects so that if you qualify under the criteria, make an application. It seems like they've done a very good job, but they've just reworded a couple of things and shoved in another application. So, yeah, I'm thinking very much deferral, as John has suggested, but we need a lot of answers, please. And if this is just something we're paying for the renovation of the churchyard or something like that, then, well, you know, dream on. So, plans, locations of water butts, 1,000 litre water butts, they're quite chunky and all. So, are these going to be away from, if it's near a church or whatever, or it's coming off the church, so you don't want those things nailed to the side of a church, look horrible. So it will detract from the building. So we'd like a proper set of whatever, thanks. And that may or may not come back to the next one. It may have to go into next year if they can't satisfy you and John in your discussions outside of this meeting. Okay.
Sorry, Chair, I think that Emma needs to come back to this meeting when you've got more detailed plans of exactly what they want to do.
Okay, thank you. And that was the last one, wasn't it? Well, just like to say on behalf of the committee to officers, thank you very much indeed for your detailed and superb presentation, as always. To the Democratic Services team, thank you very much. And to the lead member for finance, and obviously the thousands of people that watch this meeting online. Without you out there, we couldn't do what we do in here. And on that note, I bid you farewell until a date in April that Lawrence may or may not get right. Thank you very much, and that's the meeting closed. Thanks.